and welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle and I am your emotional resilience coach, and thank you for joining me today. Please hit like, subscribe, the notifications button, and of course share. Today we are talking about self-compassion. Now this is a word that gets thrown around a lot. I use it a lot. I say to people, drop the judgment and have self-compassion. But for some people, I've noticed these looks of blank. What do you actually mean? What does she mean by this? Because it seems to look different for different people. For some people, it's about going out, having your nails done, having your hair done, maybe taking yourself out for lunch or meeting some friends for lunch, or all of these things are fantastic. You know, having a slice of cake, having a down day, watching some TV, binge watching Netflix, that sort of thing. These things are great ways of time outs, reading a book, you know, these things are amazing. They are great ways of self-care. But when I talk about self-compassion, what I mean is to actively be kind, gentle, and empathetic with yourself. So what does that mean in practice? It means to love yourself even though you make mistakes. It means there's no such thing as perfection, right? When we have this weird attainability of I need to reach a certain level, I need to produce a certain product, I need to be a certain way, where we kind of put ourselves on the pedestal of reaching and being a sort of perfection, and we're just not being authentically ourselves. What we're doing is we're keeping the mask on. We're hiding because we don't feel that we are enough. And that could look like anything. We either don't feel like we are good enough, clever enough, pretty enough, thin enough, fit enough, funny enough, kind enough, clever enough, fast enough, whatever. All right, for every human being on this planet, and this is really important, we have these feelings of not being enough. All right, we don't realize that our value is absolute. And I'm here to tell you it really is. Your value is absolute. All right, you don't have to hustle for your value. You don't have to be anything or do anything or achieve anything to prove your worth. You don't need that outside validation. You really are enough. Okay? So what does this look like in practice? I like to use affirmations. Affirmations have been huge for me. All right, so if you are feeling in some way inadequate, let's say for example, I am not loved, all right, you can say I am lovable, all right, and you wake up in the morning and maybe you put on some fun music, maybe you go for a run, maybe you go for a walk. Some people like to do tapping. I've spoken about tapping before, when you hit certain points in your body. All right, if anybody wants to know more about tapping, let me know in the comments. If you're loving this, please hit like, subscribe, the notifications button. All right, so affirmations. I am enough. All right, you can even just say that generally for a while. Use that as your mantra during the day. When your thoughts want to wander, when your thoughts are going into different places, dark spaces, bring it back with I am enough. All right, I am lovable, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am enough. All right, whatever it is that you want to feel more of, you need to say that to yourself, because what's happened is that your brain has this highway. All right, so when you have a thought, you have these neurons that fire together, and neurons that fire together wire together, so you get this road that connects. And what happens when you think the same thought over and over again is you get this highway. And this highway is not just any highway, it's an autobahn, guys. It is fast, it is efficient, it is amazing. And that's why we're able to just kind of grab these thoughts with efficiency, right? We're fast, we know them. When I say we're comfortable, I don't mean we like them. We're very familiar with them, right? We have these thoughts constantly. So you want to be onto yourself and you want to be aware of your thoughts. Are my thoughts serving me? Okay. Or am I showing up with kindness and compassion and love and empathy? Or am I showing up with judgment and criticism and beating myself up for not being enough? These are questions that you're going to ask yourself, and then don't judge yourself, okay? It can easily become a loop for not doing that. Just be aware, okay, I'm not doing this, and I could, be kinder to myself. I could be gentler with myself. I could be more loving with myself. And what I mean by that is the conversation that you have with yourself in your own head, right? What does that conversation look like? What does it feel like? Does it feel like you are isolating yourself? Does it feel like you are being mean and judgy? Because remember, when we do that, we hide from ourselves. Or are we getting this feeling of warmth and safety? So often I deal with clients where that's all people are wanting to feel. They're wanting to feel safe. Safety is obviously the opposite to fear. They don't want to feel the fear. They don't want to feel the scarcity. They don't want to feel the not being enoughness, for want of a better word. And they want to feel warm and cozy and safe. And what we do as human beings is we try and find ways to give that to ourselves. And we try and let the world tell us what that looks like. So we go for, and again, I'm not judging any of this, all of us do it. We go for things that numb that feeling of emptiness and scarcity and not being enough, with things like sex, drugs, alcohol, over-the-counter medication, online shopping, pornography, food. Food is a big one for many people. Social media is huge. So what we do is we try to fill that void, or we try to numb it, or we try to distract ourselves, right? We buffer. We use these things as a buffer between what it is we want and what it is we're feeling. Instead of working towards bridging that gap, we just kind of slide something in between that, all right? So that it's not so noticeable, so that we kind of dull that sensation of it. So that's what I mean by building a good relationship with you. Be kind to you. Speak to you in a way, in a manner in which you would your child, your best friend, your spouse, a parent, someone that you love really, really dearly, and you're not going to be unkind to, because nobody wants to be around somebody who's always unkind. And we can't escape ourselves. So it's really, really important that we learn to love ourselves, have a good conversation with ourselves, and be a positive force in our own lives. Which brings me to my next point, is to just be aware that we are a human being. And I know everybody's probably thinking, yeah, obvious, but what we do is we try not to be a human being. And a human being, being a human being, is a messy experience. It comes with complications. It comes with just mess. It comes with hardship. It comes with difficulty. It comes with trials. And it comes with many, many mistakes. All right? Or learning curves. I prefer the word learning curves. I don't like to use the phrase failure in my home. I'm a homeschool mom. I homeschool 3 children. One's already finished, so there were 4. Now there's 3. And what I like to do is I like to say to my children, when they hit difficulties in their schooling and perhaps they're not doing as well as they could be doing, or they feel they should be doing, I say to them, well, this is amazing, because it means you are learning, right? We're learning, we're not failing. We don't use that word in our home because life happens. Life is messy and bumpy and complicated, and we're not going to get it right all the time. And so if you are a striving perfectionist, perfectionism is going to keep you in this hole, in this abyss of darkness, okay? Because perfectionism is unattainable. It is a pie in the sky dream. And what this perfectionism does is it cuts you off. It cuts you off from yourself. It cuts you off from people. When we are able to realize and recognize our humanness, that we all make mistakes, that we all slip up, that we all do wrong things, say wrong things, that we all just happen to be human beings, that vulnerability, that acknowledgement of I'm a human being having a human experience right now, is what connects us, all right, and makes us feel like we belong. It is what we need so desperately. What we're searching for is that human connection. We are wired, hardwired for human connection. And it is so important for us to feel it and to experience it. And we're going to have off days. We are going to have off days where we're not being the best version of ourselves. And we know we're not being the best version of ourselves. And it's okay. It's okay to be a human being. That human beingness is what connects us. All right? We're so happy to see it in other people, but we hate to see it in ourselves. But that is what makes us come together. That is what helps us feel that we belong together in this big human race. We are all deeply flawed people, just trying to encourage each other home, whatever that may look like for you. All right, which brings me to my third and final point on how to build a good relationship with yourself, is to just be onto yourself, be mindful. When we kind of ignore our stories, when we ignore our triggers, when we ignore our trauma responses, when we ignore our stress responses, whatever it is you want to call it, and please do go and check out my video. I do have videos on these subjects. When we ignore those parts of our lives, when we pretend that they're not there, when we kind of pretend that we are totally impervious to any of this, and we just soldier on through life, it causes such a disconnect within ourselves. Our emotions are not facts. Our thoughts are not facts. They are all just messages for us to question constantly, to kind of have a look at it, see how it feels. Does it resonate? Doesn't it resonate? Does it fit in my story? Does it fit in my future story? Is this who I want to be? Is this how I want to see things? Is this serving me? Right? What do I need to take note of? What do I need to take into consideration? Because being human is hard. It really is hard. And it's complicated. And what we like to do, and the reason why we often fall into polarized thinking, where we have this black and white, all or nothing thinking, is because we feel that if something looks like it fits in this box, or it looks in this box, that means that there is a manual that goes with this. That means that I can control situations. I can control scenarios. And as I've said before, we can't control any of it. All right? But the frustration, the resentment, the anger, the yucky that we feel is because we're trying to control either this situation or we're trying to control that situation. We're trying to make things be something that we can micromanage, because then we feel we're not going to get blindsided, we're not going to get hurt, we're not going to get upset, we've got this. And that's when the frustration comes in, when we often say, oh, if people own me, if you just do it like this, or if you just do it like that, all right? We want to drop all of that. We just want to be mindful of our emotions, we want to be mindful of our thoughts, which means we just want to be onto ourselves. We want to recognize them for what they are when they show up. Not as facts, just as messages. This is just a question. And ultimately what we want to do is we want to acknowledge those areas within our lives in which we're trying to hide. You can't hide from yourself forever. Notice the pain, notice your story, see it for what it is, acknowledge it, validate it, do for you what you so desperately wanted other people to do for you. Do that for you. Own your story. When you own your story and you make peace with your story, you only come from a place of strength. Strength because you see that we're all connected, that we're all human beings trying to get through it together. And strength from the point of view of you are less susceptible, you're not totally impervious, you're still a human being, but you're less susceptible to the pain of other people's judgments. Okay? That's what I mean by working on having self-compassion for you. So thank you for joining me today. If this helped, if this resonated, please hit like, subscribe, the notifications button, and I love to hear from you. And of course, if there is anything that you want me to speak on, teach on, coach on, there's a topic that you want me to address, I will keep it anonymous. Go on over to my Instagram page, DM me there, tell me what it is that you're looking for. If it's just something that you feel comfortable with, put it in the comments section and let me know. Let's connect. Let's see what we can talk about. Have a most fantastic day.